there, it's Christina here, and I want to share with you today some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years on how to make holiday foods a little bit healthier so that you can enjoy holiday treats and meals without feeling like you're going to gain weight or your cravings are going to start getting out of control again. There's lots of ways to really be able to enjoy holiday food in a healthier way, and so that's what I want to share with you today. So if we haven't met yet, I'm Christina Johnson, a clean and mindful eating coach for people who want to lose weight for good and have a better relationship with food. And so I have been eating clean for over 10 years now, over 10 holiday seasons. And so I've definitely had many opportunities to find ways to really eat healthy and stick with it during the holidays. And so I just want to share some of that with you today. So what I want to do is to just explain how I look for holiday recipes that might be a little bit healthier. So I'll share my process with you on that. And then, as you can see, I've got a lot of my favorite ingredients that I use when I'm doing holiday baking. So I'll just share some of my favorite alternatives that I use for things like flour and sugar, things that I just keep on hand if I do want to do a little bit of baking during the holidays. So I'll share those ingredients with you. You might want to have a piece of paper to take a few notes on them. And then also, I want to share with you where I've been buying a lot of my healthier flours and honey and maple syrup lately, because it definitely can be a little bit expensive if you are purchasing it at the grocery store. And so I'll just share with you where I've been buying them lately too. So stick around for that. But to get started, when I am looking for a recipe to make something, whether it's for a holiday meal or whether it's a holiday treat like a Christmas cookie or pie, there's a few kind of criteria that I go through when I'm looking for recipes. So I would say the biggest one is that I am looking for recipes that are free of most of the common food sensitivities. Because if I'm not eating a lot of food with those food sensitivities, then I'm gonna have less inflammation in my body during the holidays and I will just feel so much better. So I look for things that are typically gluten-free. Most of the things that I make will be dairy-free. I do, very consciously choose a little bit here and there. And then I'm looking for things that don't have corn and soy and things like that in it. So that's the first thing I look for when I'm looking for a healthier holiday recipe. The second thing that I'm looking for is I want to find recipes that have ingredients in them that actually have some nutritional value. So if you think about most holiday treats, it's made from regular flour, regular sugar, maybe vegetable oil. They're things that are kind of toxic and inflammatory in themselves, but then they also have really no redeeming qualities. You're not getting good like vitamins and minerals and fiber from those things. So when I'm looking for holiday recipes, I want to find things that are using just simple ingredients that actually will help me feel good. So for example, looking for recipes that use eggs because there's so many great nutrients in eggs, or looking for recipes that use healthy oils like coconut oil or olive oil, finding things that include, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, like beans. You can make a cake out of beans. So why not, if it tastes good, make a cake with beans instead of regular flour and you're getting some extra nutrients in it. So that's kind of my process when I'm looking for recipes. I want to see, is there some redeeming quality in addition to tasting good in the nutritional content of the food? And then the other thing I look for is I really want to use recipes that are going to use a healthier alternative to sugar or a sweetener. I don't want to use typical sugar, corn syrup, or those kinds of things that are going to be inflammatory and really spike my blood sugar. I want to use better forms of sugar. And I'll share my favorites with you in just a minute. And then as another little tip, when I am looking for recipes, like if I'm just Googling, let's say I want a sugar cookie recipe, I will Google using the word paleo. So I don't always eat paleo by any means, but if you look for paleo recipes, number one, there's a lot of them out there that usually are tested by lots of people and taste good. And they use good quality ingredients and better sugars. So I will look for paleo sugar cookie recipe, paleo pumpkin pie, and I know that then I'll be finding a better version of those treats. So that's one little tip that I use when I'm looking for recipes. So that's kind of how I search for recipes. If you're wanting some holiday recipes, I did put together a guide, a clean and mindful eating during the holiday guide. And I included, I think there's over 30 links to different recipes that I enjoy using during the holidays. And it's recipes for like treats, but also for breakfast and lunch and dinner and drinks. So you definitely download that. It's free to download. And then I also give you some tips on eating more mindfully during the holidays. So you can grab that at ChristinaJohnsonWellness.com/holiday recipes. And I'll put that link in the comments once I'm done. So be sure to grab that. Whew. Okay, so now that I've told you how I look for holiday recipes, I want to talk about some of my favorite like alternative flours and sugars and other healthy ingredients that I use when I'm baking. So you might want to write a few of these down as we go so you have some ideas. But let's talk about flours first. So in my kitchen now, I don't have any flour, I don't have regular sugar or brown sugar, I don't have vegetable oil. And so instead of those kind of traditional baking things, powdered sugar, margarine, Crisco, I stock my kitchen differently now. And so I want to just give you a peek into the kinds of things that I typically have on hand. So when it comes to flours, I've got a few, and you may not be able to see them super well, but arrowroot, tapioca flour, those are both ones that I enjoy using. They tend to give things, they can be used as thickeners, but they also tend to give baked goods more of a normal consistency that you'd find in regular flour. I also lately have been loving cassava flour. I know it's probably backwards for you, sorry about that. But cassava flour it's like a tuber, a plant, starchy vegetable almost. And so I really like using cassava flour, and I feel like what I make with it turns out pretty good. Coconut flour, that's another big one that I use just for a lot of cooking. And then almond flour as well. So those are probably the main alternative flours that I use most often. Another one that I haven't actually tried yet, but I'm actually curious too, is tiger nut flour. So again, I've heard lots of people raving about it and how great it is, but I haven't just tried it myself yet. Ooh, Millie said, oh, you just got cassava flour from Thrive Market. Ooh, and I'm going to talk about Thrive Market in a little bit. Yeah, cassava flour is great. I'm curious, have any of you used any other types of flours that you've enjoyed before, or any that you've used and hasn't turned out so good? Let me know that. Okay, so other than flours, another big thing to really think about is what kind of sweeteners you want to use. So like I said, I don't want to use regular white sugar, brown sugar, corn syrup, anything like that anymore. So a lot of times, big go-tos for us are honey or pure maple syrup. Ideally raw honey if you can find it, and just a 100% pure maple syrup. But actually, even before that, I love if I can find a recipe that uses fruit instead of any honey or maple syrup or anything like that. That's really my preference. So dates actually make a really great sweetener in things. Or let's see what else. Like sometimes bananas can be used as a sweetener. I made a cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving that used fresh squeezed orange juice as the sweetener. So that's really a great way to do it if you can use fruit in some form. Otherwise, then honey, maple syrup are usually some that I use, or coconut sugar is another pretty good option. And monk fruit is another good one that doesn't have as much effect on blood sugar levels. Millie says, one of your friends shared the joys of oat flour. Yeah, I don't think I've ever used oat flour much. I think once actually I did have a recipe where you like took oats and processed it in a food processor, and I think it was for muffins, and it turned out pretty good. So that's great. I'm curious what you've made with your oat flour before. So yeah, that's another great one. It's fun to just try new things. Another flour, now that I'm thinking about it, is plantains. So I've actually just purchased plantains, which is I think it's a vegetable, not a fruit, a starchy vegetable. It looks like a banana. But I purchased plantains and then put them in the food processor, grind it up, and it can be used as a flour. And so I think I made some kind of cookie a couple years ago from plantain flour. So it's pretty amazing to see all the different options there can be for traditional baking. Okay, so other things that I like to have on hand for baking, definitely nuts. You know, there's a pumpkin pie recipe that I made a couple years ago where the crust didn't have flour at all, I don't think. It was just like chopped up pecans and hazelnuts. So nuts can be a really great way to make crusts and obviously just to add to different types of dishes. So I like to have, pecans are a great one for cooking and baking around the holidays. Walnuts are always a great option too. And then, okay, oils. So a lot of traditional recipes call for margarine or Crisco or vegetable oil or, you know, I don't even know what else. And so instead, I really like to use in my baking and cooking olive oil. I use quite a bit, or avocado oil. Especially for cooking, avocado oil doesn't seem to have much of a taste, so I like using both of those. And then I have my gigantic tub of Costco coconut oil here. So we use that a lot in baking as well because it is a little bit sweeter, and so it tends to work well with baking. And then butter is another thing that we use often when we're cooking and baking in the holidays. So those are my preferences for fats. Another one though is avocados. So a lot of times you can use avocados as a fat in different foods. So that's a great option as well. Millie made mug brownies and cookies with oat flour. The mug brownies sound really tasty. You'll have to share that recipe with me. Okay, and then other ingredients that I like to have on hand. Pumpkin is great for holiday baking. It can be used in so many ways. I've made pumpkin pancakes and muffins, cookies, all kinds of things. So having canned, just plain pumpkin, you want to make sure that there's only pumpkin in the ingredient. But it's nice to have that on hand. I also like to make like a pumpkin spice latte with just canned pumpkin. So that's a great option. And then you obviously want different spices. I love having cinnamon and pumpkin pie spice on hand during the holidays in particular. Okay, and then I almost forgot coconut products. So I use a lot of coconut products when I'm baking. Coconut, either flakes, these are called coconut chips, but unsweetened coconut flakes are great. Again, I've made crusts with crushed up coconut flakes, and they can be used in lots of different ways. So that's a nice thing to have on hand. And then coconut, it's either called manna or butter. This one, we got this one from Thrive Market. It's all like squeezed up here. But coconut butter, it's like coconut, it's not like coconut oil, I should say. It's thicker and it's creamier, and so it works really well in different holiday treats. So I love having coconut butter on hand. And coconut milk, canned coconut milk is great for different holiday baking as well. And then cocoa powder. I always want to have some cocoa powder on hand. Millie's embarrassed by how many cans of pumpkin in your house right now. You know, I don't think there's any shame in that. I always stock up this time of year because it's so easy to find canned pumpkin right now. So you can never go wrong with too much pumpkin. All right, so those are some of the main ingredients that I use when I am baking and just making holiday food. And so, like I said, over the years, I have definitely shifted from having regular flour, regular sugar, all those traditional ingredients to having more of these types of ingredients. And when I first started buying these healthier ingredients, I did buy a lot of them at Whole Foods and some at Trader Joe's. They don't always have all of them. And so I could find most of the ones I wanted, but it was a little bit expensive there. And thankfully now too, most grocery stores in the health food market section will have lots of, these ingredients as well. So you can find them in grocery stores, but they do tend to be a little more expensive. So what I started doing about a year ago was ordering from Thrive Market. And for those of you that don't know, I know Millie uses Thrive and I think loves it. But Thrive Market, I guess I would view it as an online Costco plus Whole Foods, like a combo of the two. So it's like Costco or Sam's Club in the fact that you buy a membership for a year and then you get access to discounted prices. So for example, I was just talking with a client today about a mayonnaise that we both like, a Primal Kitchens mayonnaise, that's usually $9 or $10 in the grocery store. And I think on Thrive Market, it's maybe $6.50 or $7. So I usually find that there's about a 25% discount on the foods at Thrive Market, which totally makes it worth it to me to have the membership. And then they have their own brand of things like, the cassava flour, tapioca flour. They have their own brands that are good quality and less expensive. And so what I love about Thrive Market too is that they carry a lot of the foods that you would find at Whole Foods, or just really good quality ingredients, some of these alternative flours and sugars. So I have personally really loved ordering from them from the past year. So if you are into online ordering and want to check it out, definitely do that. I love it too because a lot of times you'll get a free gift when you order. So I've been able to try things that I normally wouldn't have purchased. And then they often have other discounts as well. So I will put a link in the comments to if you want to check out Thrive so that you can do that. I think with this link too, you'll also get a free gift up to $24 if you decide to get a membership. So definitely use the link so you get that free gift. Yeah, but definitely check out Thrive Market. So here's my challenge to you for this holiday season. I would challenge you to maybe try out a healthier version of some recipe this holiday season, whether it's a baked good, a Christmas cookie, or maybe just, like a side dish for a meal. So can you find a healthier version of something that you often like to make? Or can you take a recipe that you've used before and swap out some things to make it a little healthier? It is harder to do that with baked goods. You have to be a little bit more careful with the flours and the sugars. But you could give that a try. Or do you want to try using a new flour or sugar or healthy ingredient that you've never used before? So let me know in the comments if there is something that that you'll be trying out, or a new, like a particular recipe that you want to find a healthier version of. And Millie said, ooh, the Simple Mills brand of crackers. I don't think I've even looked at that. I'm about to place another Thrive Market order in the next week or so I will look for those. Thanks. Yeah, they have so many great products, like just all kinds of different groceries. So it's a great place to order healthy food. All right, so that is everything I have for you. Make sure if you haven't already downloaded my Clean and Mindful Eating During the Holidays guide, that you get that at ChristinaJohnsonWellness.com/holiday recipes. That'll have links to several clean eating recipes and some tips for eating mindfully during the holidays as well. So check that out. Also check out Thrive Market if you're looking to purchase some of these healthier types of ingredients. And if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments as well. So I hope you're enjoying your December, and I will be back again next week. Bye.